Hey, this is Bill Ray with Paul Gilbert. I'm sitting here with Bahasa Drum Channel's Adri,
Yeah.
and we're just talking drums. So I invite you to go check out his channel on YouTube, Bahasa Drum, and like it and subscribe. And check me out at billraydrums.com. Well, my general spiel to anybody who is considering a career in this business is, first of all, if you're getting into this business for financial gain, you're going to be highly disappointed. Art is hard. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it. It's not an easy career to make a living in. It's one of those things where, you know, lightning strikes in one place, and that band may make $1 million or whatever, or might sell millions of records, and if that happens, then great. But more often than not, it's not the case. What gets you there is methodical, just having a routine, good habits, developing. Just doing the work. You have to wake up every day and try to move the ball forward a little bit. And some days the ball's gonna roll backwards, 10 squares, and having to move it those 10 squares forward, it might take a little bit. But the cool thing is that there's a ball to move, and the ball moves, because sometimes the ball will get stuck. Do it for the love, first and foremost, and if you make some money doing it, then great. If you don't make any money, you're still doing what you love. And I tell people, if you want to get a career in music, the thing to do is to show up. And what does show up mean? Show up means to like, for instance, when I moved to Seattle from San Diego, the first thing I did was I began going to every little jam session I could. I went to every blues jam, every place I could sit down and play, and people would hear me, and people dug it, and they liked what I played, and I'm this new guy and this new face on the scene, and my phone started ringing pretty much immediately. It wasn't 10 days after I moved to Seattle that I got my first paying gig. And it was a good paying gig. It was like a $200 gig. And, that's, it was like, okay, I can do this. And so I began taking those kind of things, and, the same thing I've been doing for years and years and years. But as I was telling you earlier, my friend Paulie Cerra from Joe Bonamassa's band, he was doing, like the usual, corporate gigs and all that, and making a decent paycheck doing that, but he was just not fulfilled. It wasn't really ringing his bell anymore. It wasn't doing the same thing that it did for him when he was younger. And so he sort of stepped away from the music business for a while, and he began working in a grocery chain called Trader Joe's. And about 3 months into that, the trumpet player from Tower of Power, Lee Thornburg, called him up and says, hey, Paulie, Joe Bonamassa is looking for a sax player. And so Paulie was like, oh, cool, so let me give him a call. So he got his number, and Paulie called Joe, and Joe says, come up to the house and have a jam, and let's hang. And he went up and spent the day with him. End of the day, Bonamassa says, hey, you're in. You're part of the family. Here, just, give my brother, who's my manager, your information. And then a few days later, he gets his check in the mail, and Paulie, as he recounted it to me, he says it was like the most money he'd ever seen any place at one time. And pretty much it, Paulie called Bonamassa and says, hey, I think you made a mistake here. This is a lot of money. And Bonamassa says, no, it's fine. He says, pay off all your stuff, because you're going to be gone for like a long time. We're going to be out for quite a while, so take care of all your stuff that you need to take care of, and this is just to get you started. And so, stepping away from the normal thing that he had been doing opened up those channels and allowed him to move in a different direction and move and to go much higher than he even imagined. So sometimes you have to sort of step back and regroup. That's the lesson, is that you have to step back sometimes and regroup and gather your energies and your abilities and just sort of take a pause. And when you do that, it allows you to become refresh, and then you can do more with what you have. And another thing I was telling you about earlier, we as musicians, we're energy brokers. That's what we do. We take sound, we take thoughts, and those thoughts are converted into muscle movements, into, like with drummers, for instance, are converted into movements with sticks, and those sticks hit instruments and convert those thoughts into sound. And those sounds can either push people away or they can pull them in. And how are you going to pull people into your sound? And when you can figure that out, when you can pull people in and bring order to that chaos, if there is chaos, generally drummers, after playing drums for more than 50 years now, I can say my definition of what we do, kind of like a sort of a total right brain definition of it. We are the ones who draw lines in coloring books for other musicians to color in. We create the edge around the picture, and then people can add the details. Other musicians can add details to it. So, like, we're the silhouette. We're the architectural planners. We create the outlines that define the picture, and then others can add their coloration and texture and tone and all that, and it makes the complete picture. So we are the foundation. Drummers are the foundational element of whatever it is, because you've got in music, you've got melody, harmony, and rhythm. Those are the three main elements, and drums are pretty much the most, it's rhythm. That's what we do. We create those outlines. So coming to terms with how you're going to create those outlines is going to make you a more valuable player. And how can you translate? Like, if somebody puts a sheet of music in front of you, it's not to make you turn down. It's there to give you information. How are you going to translate that information into that outline that needs to be, a sonic output? So having those skills and abilities to do that is that's part of the talent. Right. That's a little abstract, but right. That's you have to sort of think outside the box in a lot of ways in order to do this and to keep yourself kind of like being unique. We're all as individual as our fingerprint. So the next time you feel like, I just don't feel like I'm doing a great job or whatever, no, the thing is that your fingerprint is your universal identifier. That if somebody's looking for you and they've got your prints on file, they can find you. They can figure out who you are just from your fingerprint, and that's what makes us unique. And so your uniqueness stems from that. And whatever it is that you do, if you're not going to ever be able to sound like John Bonham. I mean, you could sound sort of like him, but you're never going to be able to play exactly like John Bonham, because number one, John Bonham plays like John Bonham, and number two, John Bonham is no longer with us in a physical sense. He's with us forever. He's been immortalized by Led Zeppelin. But pick a drummer, whichever drummer it is, it's going to be. They are immortalized in their own right by the work that they've created, and remembered by that. So whoever you are, your fingerprint, aka your playing, your style, the way you hit the drums, the way you form, the way you place your beats, in a sense, like rhythm is just points on a line. Your snare drum might be a little farther ahead of the beat than this other person's, and the artist that you're working with may really, really like that kind of feel because it keeps them edgy. Or you may be the kind of drummer who plays so far on the backbeat it sounds like you're dragging. But the thing is that there's somebody who's going to love what you do. And I think overall the largest concept that I can give you as to being any kind of musician, the number one thing that most people don't get, if you can become congruent with your atmosphere, if you can become congruent with the band and what you play, you can become congruent with the music that you're playing and play what needs to be played, and you become congruent with the room that you're playing in, and not play so loud that you're trying to explode the room, but you play just enough to make it fill to where it needs to go. You remember, your energy that we're pushing, it expands. And so if you're pushing too much energy, like if you're playing a small room and you're just digging in like you're playing in a coliseum or something, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's gonna be too much, and it's going to drive people away. Granted, like the gig that we're going to do here, the room is, you hit the drum, and because of the PA, it's like, it sounds like explosions. So all the funky tiny little notes that I play a lot of ghost notes and stuff like that. That's not going to translate well in that room. So I'm going to have to become more congruent with that room and back it off and not play so many tiny notes. So in other words, I'm going to have to simplify some of the things that I do so it translates, and that's part of being congruent. And so having the awareness to reach that congruity is one of those things that makes me it's why I'm playing with Paul Gilbert.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.